Hello, welcome to the weekly highlights program on Azərbaycan Television with the major developments of the week. I'm your host İlham Məmmədov. Now first, let's take a brief look at some of the top stories of this week. President İlham laid the foundation stone of the Xocalı Genocide Memorial in the city of Xocalı and met with representatives of the district community. The 10th Southern Gas Corridor Advisory Council Ministerial Meeting and the 2nd Green Energy Advisory Council Ministerial Meeting were held at the Gülistan Palace in Baku. President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, İlham attended the event. President İlham laid the foundation stone of the Xocalı Genocide Memorial in the city of Xocalı and met with representatives of the district community. Then President İlham got acquainted with the construction works in the city of Xocalı together with the residents. The head of state and representatives of Xocalı district community later visited Xankəndi.
Allah size götürsün, hayatınızın en hoşbext günü. Var olun, cənab bey. Allah sizi götürsün, cənab bey. Sağ olun. Allah sizi var olun. Allah sizi götürsün. Sağ olun. Sağ olun, hoş geldiniz. Sağ olun. Sağ olun. Allah sizi götürsün. Sağ olun.
İlk dəfədir ki, Xocalı.
Saying this is the first time we have been commemorating the innocent Xocalı victims in Xocalı on the anniversary of the Xocalı genocide, and after 32 years we have returned to our native lands, the head of state added that in order to perpetuate the memory of the victims of Xocalı, the foundation of a memorial complex will be laid here. I must inform you that this project was ready a long time ago. The place was chosen near the Xocalı Genocide Memorial in Baku. But every year I had certain hesitations regarding the construction of the memorial complex and postponed the project. Because just like you, I also believed and knew that we would return here, that we would return to Xocalı, where a memorial complex would be created to perpetuate the memory of innocent victims. After 32 years, you're back. After 32 years after that horrific tragedy, we are living, building and restoring every corner of Azerbaijan, every corner of Karabakh as its owners and as children of this motherland. Extensive construction work is underway on all the liberated lands. The Xocalı genocide will never be erased from the memory of our people. The people of Azerbaijan will never forget this bloody crime. 32 years ago, the Armenian state committed this horrific tragedy and killed innocent people. A total of 613 people were brutally killed. 150 people went missing. Of course, their fate is also known. More than 1,000 people were taken hostage. More than 60 children, over 100 women and 70 old people were brutally killed by the Armenian savages and fascists in one night. Unfortunately, our call for justice for Xocalı has fallen on deaf ears. It is true that 18 countries have recognized this bloody tragedy as an act of genocide thanks to our efforts. However, there are no big states among these countries. International organizations, many of them have remained indifferent to this tragedy. The state of Azerbaijan, our government agencies and also the Azerbaijanis living abroad, our public organizations including the Heydər Əliyev Foundation have made great effort to inform the world about the Xocalı genocide. The Justice for Xocalı campaign, which has been widely promoted by the Heydər Əliyev Foundation, has reached out to various parts of the world. Many events and presentations have been carried out. Books and articles have been published and exhibitions have been organized. In other words, we have made a great deal of effort to convey this truth to the world, and we rightly demanded justice from the world, because the Xocalı genocide is a bloody crime that was perpetrated before the eyes of the world. Denying the Xocalı genocide is unfair and dishonest. However, the Armenian state, the same forces that stood behind its back then and are still there now, the same countries were doing everything in their power to cover up this crime, not to bring Armenia to account, not to introduce sanctions against Armenia, and to let them get away with it. We worked for decades, especially in recent years, to bring the perpetrators of this bloody crime to justice, but we saw that only we should restore this justice ourselves, and we did exactly that. the Second Karabakh War was a celebration of justice. As a result of the Second Karabakh War, most of the occupied lands were liberated, while the rest of the occupied territories were liberated 5 months ago. I know that you, the natives of Khojaly, were just as happy as all the people of Azerbaijan at the time. I also know that you were having certain thoughts about what would happen to Khojaly and Khankendi. I knew that, but I couldn't tell you what would happen. But you and I know that everything will be fair. We could not consider our territorial integrity and sovereignty fully restored without Khojaly. Khojaly has such a great place in the history and consciousness of the Azerbaijani people. This tragedy has left such deep wounds in our hearts that we could not be at peace with ourselves until Khojaly was liberated. 5 months ago, as a result of the anti-terror operation, all our territories that were then under occupation and where the authorities were challenging us, including Khojaly, were liberated. On October 15, 2023, the Azerbaijani flag was raised in Khojaly. We have also started major construction work in Khojaly. Our justice for Khojaly demand was completely justified. The fact that we secured this justice on the battlefield is fully consistent with international law and historical justice. We have restored historical justice. We avenged the innocent victims of Khojaly on the battlefield and did not let their blood remain on the ground, said President İlham Aliyev. Assistant to the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Anar Alekbarov, briefed the head of state on the Khojaly Genocide Memorial Complex. The Khojaly Genocide Memorial, to be created by the Heydar Aliyev Foundation, will be located along the Khojaly-Askaran Road. It will comprise various sections commemorating the tragic events of February 25, 26, 1992, as well as depicting the historical and geographical significance of Khojaly and the town's way of life before the civilian atrocities occurred. Additionally, the memorial will include a model illustrating the district's geographical layout. The memorial will feature documentaries recounting the Khojaly massacre. Then, President İlham Aliyev, accompanied by the residents, inspected the ongoing construction works in the city of Khojaly. The head of state and representatives of the general public from Khojaly district visited the city of Khankendi. President of Azerbaijan İlham Aliyev received Minister of Hajj and Umrah of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Tawfiq bin Fawza Al Rabi'a.
Tawfiq bin Fawzan Al Rabi'a congratulated İlham Aliyev on his victory in the presidential election and the liberation of Azerbaijani lands from occupation. The head of state thanked him for the congratulations. The Saudi minister recalled that he had visited Azerbaijan in his previous positions, ailing the expansion of cooperation between the Republic of Azerbaijan and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in all areas, including tourism and the increase in mutual tourist visits in recent times. He welcomed the dynamics in flight routes. Tawfiq bin Fawzan Al Rabi'a said that facilitation of the visa issuance process for citizens of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia by Azerbaijan is giving a serious impetus to cooperation in the field of tourism, and pointed out that his country has also taken steps to simplify the visa issuance process for Azerbaijani citizens. He once again thanked Azerbaijan for supporting Saudi Arabia's bid to host the Expo 2030 and the 2034 FIFA World Cup. President İlham Aliyev held friendly and brotherly relations between the two countries. The head of state recalled that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, remaining committed to the principle of Islamic solidarity, did not establish diplomatic relations with Armenia during the occupation of Azerbaijani lands, emphasizing that the people and government of Azerbaijan highly appreciate the fair position of Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan in the Islamic world. President İlham Aliyev highlighted the ongoing restoration and construction works in Karabakh and the implementation of the Great Return project. Touching on the positive dynamics of the tourist arrivals from Saudi Arabia and Azerbaijan, the head of state stressed the importance of reaching pre-COVID-19 pandemic figures regarding the number of tourists, stating that there is a great potential in this area. During the meeting, they emphasized the necessity of organizing exhibitions reflecting the economic investment, tourism, and other potential of the two countries in Azerbaijan and Saudi Arabia, and noted the activity of the Intergovernmental Commission, highlighting that significant projects on urban development are being implemented both in Azerbaijan and Saudi Arabia. The site stressed the importance of cooperation in this domain. The Minister of Hajj and Umrah presented a keepsake to the Azerbaijani president.
The head of state received the delegation led by Managing Director of the German Eastern Business Association, Michael Harms. The delegation comprised of heads of leading companies from the Federal Republic of Germany and included Executive Director of the German-Azerbaijani Chamber of Commerce, Tobias Baumann, Executive Director of Folk Consulting, Thomas Volk, Senior Vice President of Uniper Global Commodities, SE, Uwe Wieb, Director Board Projects at Renus Group International Logistics Company, Heinrich Kartskens, Chairman of the Board at VNG AG Ulf Heitmüller, and Managing Director of HHLA International GmbH, Philip Swins. Fondly recalling his meetings with German businessmen last year in Berlin and recently in Munich, the head of state stressed the importance of the visit of the large delegation to Azerbaijan for discussing the agenda of economic cooperation. On behalf of the delegation, Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Germany to Azerbaijan, Ralf Horlmann, expressed gratitude to Ilham Aliyev for the reception shortly after he was re-elected as the president. The ambassador said that they were impressed by President Ilham Aliyev's meetings with the Chancellor of Germany during his visit to Munich. He also welcomed the meeting of the foreign ministers of Azerbaijan and Armenia in Berlin, emphasizing that his country constructively supported the peace process. The ambassador noted that this year, with the holding of COP29, there is an opportunity to achieve a peace agreement, which is crucial in terms of stability, economic development, and tranquility. He said that one of the main goals of the large delegation of businessmen visit to Azerbaijan is to demonstrate their interest in cooperation with the country. The ambassador pointed out that, as stated by the president of Azerbaijan in his inauguration speech, the current focus on economic, including energy transformation issues, creates significant opportunities for cooperation. He specifically emphasized that German business communities and companies are ready to make significant contributions to this agenda. He once again expressed gratitude to the head of state for the reception and expressed hope that the delegation's visit would yield fruitful results in terms of expanding cooperation. Praising the visit of the large delegation to Azerbaijan, the head of state noted that the economic sphere always plays an important role in bilateral relations, describing it as a good sign of bonds. President Ilham Aliyev noted that during his meeting with the Chancellor of Germany in Berlin last year, the sides discussed a broad agenda of issues concerning bilateral relations, including economic cooperation. The head of state also emphasized the importance of his recent meeting with Prime Minister of Armenia Nikol Pashinyan in Munich, initiated by Chancellor Scholz, in terms of bringing dynamism to the peace process. In addition, the president noted that Azerbaijan supported the holding of a meeting between foreign ministers in Berlin at the proposal of the German side. Thus, Germany, unlike its neighbor France, which, as it is said, pours gasoline on the fire and equips Armenia with deadly weapons, demonstrates neutrality in the peace process. The norms of international law are on our side, said President Ilham Aliyev, underscoring that any attempts to blame us for ensuring the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the country are completely baseless and biased. The steps taken by Azerbaijan to ensure its territorial integrity and sovereignty are not different from those taken by other countries. The head of state regretfully noted that today double standards have become commonplace for several international institutions, including the European Union. In this regard, the non-constructive statements by Joseph Borrell have deeply disappointed us. Firstly, his statements do not reflect any reality and are contrary to the norms of international law. Secondly, the Azerbaijani side evaluate the statements as a veiled threat against our country. Borrell stated that if Azerbaijan were to attack Armenia, it would face dire consequences. Firstly, where did Borrell obtain this information suggesting that Azerbaijan is planning to attack Armenia? We have no such plans. These are mere insinuations by Mr. Macron. All of this is part of the anti-Azerbaijan policy based on demonizing our country, supposedly related to Azerbaijan's alleged preparation for an attack on Armenia. After the last serious tension on the border with Armenia, which occurred in September 2023, the situation along the border remained calm until February of this year. However, in February, an Armenian sniper seriously injured an Azerbaijani soldier, prompting us to respond adequately and precisely. Our response took only a few minutes, and it was enough for Armenia to realize that attempts to kill Azerbaijanis would not go unpunished. As I mentioned, apart from the incident in September last year, the border has remained calm. Therefore, Mr. Borrell and Mr. Macron are not obtaining this information from reality, but rather from their own imaginations. President Ilham Aliyev emphasized that Azerbaijan is committed to the peace process. It was us who initiated peace talks after the Second Karabakh War ended. In fact, we developed 5 major principles of the peaceful solution and presented the draft peace agreement. Therefore, if we did not want peace, why would we have prepared all of these documents? The head of state emphasized that the Azerbaijani territories had been under Armenian occupation for 30 years. Armenians occupied 20% of our lands, devastating those territories, displacing nearly 1 million of our compatriots. Armenia, which kept our lands under occupation during this period, disregarded the resolutions of the UN Security Council, international legal norms, including humanitarian ones. They committed the Khojalı genocide, which we commemorated just 2 days ago. After restoring our sovereignty and territorial integrity, by dismantling the separatist stronghold in Karabakh, we came under an attack. We're being blamed by individuals such as Macron, Borrell, and others. Let's take Ukraine. Ukraine seeks to restore its territorial integrity. Germany and other countries are sending weapons to Ukraine. You all declare that Ukraine must ensure its territorial integrity. But what about our territorial integrity? Is our issue less important than the issue of Ukraine? Unfortunately, we are witnessing attempts to establish divisive lines in the South Caucasus. Many people in Azerbaijan think that our Muslim religion is the only way out, given Georgia and Armenia are taken very close to the hearts of the European institutions and Azerbaijan is now being demonized. I do not say this is my personal opinion. This is what people think. After restoration of our territorial integrity and sovereignty, the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe adopted a decision to suspend our delegation of voting rights. This decision was unfortunately initiated by a member of the Germany's parliament from the party led by Chancellor Scholz. Is it once again a case of double standards or some sort of game being played with us? The Chancellor of Germany demonstrates impartiality, and his statements and actions demonstrate that. While a member of his party tries to get rid of Azerbaijan from the Council of Europe, get rid of one of the 2 non-Christian countries, and does it deliberately, openly. And as you know, we decided not to participate in the sessions because if we don't have a right to express our will, why should we be there? President Ilham Aliyev noted that if the rights of the Azerbaijani delegation are not restored within 1 year, the country would seriously consider the total departure from the Council of Europe. The head of state regretfully noted that in the German media, Azerbaijan is allegedly portrayed as a country where freedoms are not ensured. People are imprisoned for their opinions, and it is depicted as a despotic country ruled by dictatorship. Saying that this is absolutely fake, and I regret that, President Ilham Aliyev emphasized that the authors of those articles themselves are well aware of it, adding that the German ambassador, who has been serving in Azerbaijan for several years, is also a witness of the processes taking place in the country. President Ilham Aliyev underlined that deliberately many negative impressions are created about Azerbaijan. Well, does it play any role for what we are doing here? No. We do what is right for our people, for our country, whether it is the restoration of territorial integrity or it's our economic agenda, the head of state mentioned. Noting that Azerbaijan is a self-sufficient country, the head of state said that the ongoing developments and works accomplished in Azerbaijan ensure normal life in the country. If someone wants to contribute to our development, we are grateful. If not, we will not be disappointed, the Azerbaijani president underscored. Noting that Azerbaijan was deprived of its statehood for 70 years during the times of Soviet Union, President Ilham Aliyev underlined that when Azerbaijan just became independent in 1991, it faced aggression from Armenia, and 4 months after the restoration of its independence, Armenians committed the Khojalı genocide. They occupied hundreds of villages and cities, destroyed everything. For 30 years, the international so-called community, France, the US, and Russia, co-chairs did nothing to restore justice. When we started to deoccupy our lands, all of them started to pressure us, each with different instruments to stop us. They did not want us to liberate our territories. And last September, when we totally put an end to separatism, they were wrong again. And they are wrong now. Some of them, I mean the United States and France. Russia, I think, understands now clearly what has happened and accepts the new realities. But I think the United States and France should also do the same. Otherwise, the situation will not be in line with their plans. They have to work with Azerbaijan, the leading country in the Caucasus, with the leading economy, army, and very broad international connections. Expressing gratitude to the head of state for the information provided, the ambassador of Germany to Azerbaijan noted that it is important to see the processes here with their own eyes in order to get an impression of the country, adding that this is exactly one of the reasons why the delegation arrived in the country. Mikhail Harms said that it was really a great honor that they could meet the Azerbaijani president shortly after the meeting in Munich and express his gratitude for that, emphasizing that the delegation arrived in Azerbaijan with the heads and representatives of more than 40 companies involved in infrastructure, industry, agriculture, banking and finance, alternative energy and other spheres. Mikhail Harms said that they had fruitful meetings in the country. He mentioned that during the discussions they came to a conclusion that Azerbaijan had implemented an impressive agenda of economic reforms. Harms pointed out that the other result is that there are other good opportunities for cooperation in other sectors other than the traditional energy. He emphasized that German business community very much value Azerbaijan's firm commitment to the peace process in the Caucasus, and it can also lay the foundation for a positive development in the whole region. The meeting also saw discussions on prospects for economic relations, including energy cooperation, joint project, investments, and other issues. The 10th Southern Gas Corridor Advisory Council Ministerial Meeting and the 2nd Green Energy Advisory Council Ministerial Meeting were held at the Gülistan Palace in Baku. President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, attended the event. The head of state delivered a speech at the event.
Addressing the event, President Ilham Aliyev welcomed all participants of the event. The head of our state said that Albania and Azerbaijan are two friendly countries that cooperate in different areas and support each other within international institutions and also work actively on energy security issues. Albania played a very important role in implementation of the Southern Gas Corridor project and continues to play an important role as a member of the TAP team. President Ilham Aliyev highlighted the Azerbaijan-European Union cooperation on energy diversification and that energy security created absolutely new geography of supplies. In case of Azerbaijan, the Southern Gas Corridor is absolutely new route with now many extensions and interconnectors. The Azerbaijani gas is a new source at the head of our state and underscored that one of the important events during the last year period was the beginning of commercial natural gas production from the offshore gas and condensate field in the Azerbaijani sector of the Caspian Sea. This was the second largest discovery of huge gas deposits after Shah Deniz. Annual production at the level of 1.5 billion cubic meters is expected. The agreement for the second phase will add an additional 45 billion cubic meters, with the most of which to be also channeled to the international markets. Another important achievement is that Azerbaijan started supplying natural gas to two more countries last year, namely Hungary and Serbia, said the head of our state, and stressed that today Azerbaijan is supplying natural gas to 8 countries, with 6 of them being European countries. Through the active communication with Turkish friends during the last year, the use of the Trans-Balkan gas pipeline systems through Turkey was agreed. Another important moment for the energy project is that the friendly United Arab Emirates company ADNOC has become a shareholder in the offshore project. We welcome this and welcome them to the team, said President Ilham Aliyev, saying it will bring additional financing, expertise and international cooperation. Natural gas production from the Azeri-Charakin-Ashlidiyev gas project is expected to begin in the first quarter of the next year. There are plans to develop the second phase of the Umid gas condensate field, which potentially can bring additional 2 to 3 billion cubic meters within 3 to 4 years. Some of the projects will be implemented together with investors, but some by Sokar itself, the head of our state, underscored. Azerbaijan is also part of the green transition process. This year has been announced and declared as the Green Rural Solidarity Year in Azerbaijan. The first big solar power plant was inaugurated in Azerbaijan last October with a capacity of 230 megawatts, built by Masdar, one of the leading companies in the area of renewables. According to signed contracts and memorandum of understandings, it's planned to generate up to 5,000 megawatt or 5 gigawatt of solar and wind energy until 2030, said President Ilham Aliyev, noting that the main investors are Masdar from the United Arab Emirates and Akfa Power from Saudi Arabia. The Black Sea Green Cable project also aims to become a major exporter of green energy to Europe. The Southern Gas Corridor has already been operating for 3 years. It is a really success story. It's one of the biggest infrastructure projects in Eurasia, the head of our state emphasized, saying there was and there is a big demand from Europe for Azerbaijani gas. Azerbaijan is honored to be the host country for COP29, but as soon as the decision was made last December, immediately we were attacked by different NGOs, media, only for one reason, because we have oil, and that was considered to be our biggest fault. The fact that we wanted to host this global event on climate change demonstrates our will. We must be praised for that and not attacked. As soon as the decision was made, we faced a coordinated, consolidated, and very unfair attack on us, said President Ilham Aliyev. The decision and unanimous agreement to organize COP29 in Azerbaijan is a sign of respect of international community for our country, and our willingness to host and contribute demonstrates our green agenda, said President Ilham Aliyev, and once again thanked all participants for attending the event. Using the opportunity, the head of our state invited all participants to be partners in this important journey towards COP29. Then Prime Minister of the Republic of Albania, Ilham, and European Union Commissioner for Energy, co-chair of the Advisory Council of the Southern Gas Corridor, Mrs. Kadri Simpson, made their speeches.
President Ilham Aliyev received European Commissioner for Energy, Kadri Simpson, who was participating in the 10th Southern Gas Corridor Advisory Council Ministerial Meeting and the 2nd Green Energy Advisory Council Ministerial Meeting.
Kadri Simpson congratulated Ilham Aliyev on his victory in the presidential election, as well as on Azerbaijan's hosting of COP29 and the 10th anniversary ministerial meeting of the Southern Gas Corridor Advisory Council. The head of our state thanked Kadri Simpson for the congratulations. Kadri Simpson stressed the importance and stability of Azerbaijan's role in Europe's energy supply. During the conversation, they discussed prospects for the implementation of renewable energy projects in the future, in addition to various types of energy and opportunities for European companies to play a more active role as investors in projects implemented in Azerbaijan. The sides exchanged views on future steps in an action plan for the development of both COP29 and energy cooperation. They also lauded Azerbaijan's joining the Global Methane Reduction Initiative.
The head of state received Minister of the Environment and Energy Security of the Italian Republic, Gilberto Pichetto Frattini, who was participating in the 10th Southern Gas Corridor Advisory Council Ministerial Meeting and 2nd Green Energy Advisory Council Ministerial Meeting.
Gilberto Pichetto Frattini congratulated Ilham Aliyev on his victory in the presidential election and on securing the hosting of COP29 in Azerbaijan. The head of state thanked him for the congratulations, saying that his country currently holds the presidency of the G7 format this year. The Italian minister stressed the importance for Azerbaijan as the host of COP29 to participate in the special meeting of G7 ministers meeting on climate, energy and environment within this partnership format, and extended an invitation in this regard. During the meeting, the sides touched on the economic relations between the two countries and praised the collaboration of numerous Italian companies, including Ansaldo Leonardo, Maire Tecnimont, and several others with Azerbaijan. They also applauded the operations of Italian companies in Azerbaijan's liberated territories. During the conversation, they exchanged views on the prospects for cooperation.
President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, held a one-on-one meeting with Prime Minister of the Republic of Albania, Edi Rama. Then a meeting in an expanded format followed. Edi Rama congratulated Ilham Aliyev on his victory in the presidential elections and on Azerbaijan's hosting the COP29. The head of state expresses gratitude for the congratulations. President Ilham Aliyev thanked the Prime Minister of Albania for his participation in the 10th Southern Gas Corridor Advisory Council Ministerial Meeting. In his turn, Edi Rama expresses gratitude for the invitation to this event. During the conversation, the sides underlined the importance of the 10th Southern Gas Corridor Advisory Council Ministerial Meeting and the 2nd Green Energy Advisory Council Ministerial Meeting. The meeting saw discussions of bilateral relations. The sides highlighted the role of President Ilham Aliyev's state visit to Albania and Prime Minister Edi Rama's previous trips to Azerbaijan in the development of bilateral ties. The head of state highly appreciated Albania's support for Azerbaijan's just position within the UN and other international organizations and noted that Azerbaijan has always advocated for Albania's interests within these institutions as well. The importance of the TAP project and its expansion were discussed during the meeting, with Albania's pivotal role in this field highlighted. They touched upon the issue of Azerbaijan's investments for implementation of the gasification project in Albania. During the conversation, the discussions also revolved around the normalization of the Azerbaijan-Armenia relations and the prospects for cooperation. President Ilham Aliyev had an expanded meeting over lunch with Prime Minister of the Republic of Albania, Edi Rama. On March 1st, President Ilham Aliyev was interviewed by Euronews TV channel on the sidelines of the 10th Southern Gas Corridor Advisory Council Ministerial Meeting and the second Green Energy Advisory Council Ministerial Meeting.
If you could please begin by telling me why are today's meetings so important for the energy industry and the achievements and next steps in successful operation and development of the Southern Gas Corridor?
When we started this project, there have been a lot of different ideas how it will succeed. There have been optimists and pessimists, and also those who thought that we will not be able to implement it. But we were committed, and we knew that it is possible to do it, but we needed a broad international cooperation. So we started to build this partnership between countries, between companies, inviting leading international financial institutions to support us with their financing. And 3,500 kilometers long pipeline is now a reality. Yeah. It's not a dream any longer. And it is embracing more and more countries because, as I said today at the opening session, we have new interconnectors which allow to transport natural gas to new destinations. And really it's changing completely the geography of energy supplies, issues related to energy security. And when you see good results of the initiative which you launched 10 years ago, of course you always must feel happy.
It's a very pivotal year as well. COP29 is on the horizon, and the development of these renewable energy projects really showcase how Azerbaijan is trailblazing the future of sustainable energy.
Yes, I think this is part of our overall green agenda and our feeling of responsibility, because the countries rich with fossil fuel should be among the front runners in green transition. We do it not because we lack traditional resources, but because we want to contribute using the financing, using the revenues which we get from oil and gas sales to invest in renewables and to create a common understanding about the need for them. We see it here in Baku every year. Every year we see how Caspian Sea is becoming more and more shallow. Everybody who lives by the seaside sees it, even here in the center of Baku. So we see the implication and dangerous implication of the climate change, less water in our rivers, less snow in our mountains, less water in the Caspian Sea. And if we don't address this issue with passion and with the commitment, then all of us will suffer. So renewable projects agenda of Azerbaijan is very ambitious. Caspian Sea potential of Azerbaijan is 157 gigawatt, which is based on the assessment of International Financial Corporation. And we already started this important journey, and we plan to use renewables maybe in 10 years' time at a maximum degree and reduce the consumption of natural gas domestically.
I liked in your speech inside, and you said the countries who have oil and gas shall not be blamed. When we talk about fossil fuels, it's not their fault, but they should be judged on basically, you said they should be judged on how they address environmental protection and green transitions. That you truly believe this, yes?
Yes, Yes, of course. And this is how we need to change a little bit the narrative about that. Because being a country with fossil fuel, of course, it's not our fault. It's our, I think, achievement that we managed to avoid a so-called oil curse that many countries with oil and gas reserves have faced. We transformed oil into development. We managed to provide a fair distribution of wealth. We reduced poverty in Azerbaijan during the last 20 years from 50% to 5%. And all what you see here in Baku is an absolutely new development of infrastructure and improvement of living conditions of the people. So the narrative now, unfortunately, is that fossil fuel is something which is dangerous, which is bad, and the countries which have these resources must be blamed for that. My message was, judge us, but what we do, how we treat it, how we use the revenues in order to address the needs of the people and to stimulate the green agenda. I hope my message will be heard.
Mr. President, Your Excellency, thank you so much for your time.
That was all for the week. Thank you for watching us and stay tuned not to miss the next edition of our program.